The Sharks lose a close nail-biter in the finale of the NHL Global Series in the Czech Republic, 3-2. We'll break down that and some thoughts on the initial season coming up next. But first, in case you want to be part of the show and Teal together and interact with us, check us out across all the social media pages, that being Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, the shenanigans that go on in the Discord, and everything else at tealtownusa.com. I am pleased to be joined by Mr. Ian Reed. How are you doing this afternoon, Ian?
I'm here. No one can find me.
Somewhere in the Great White North, hunkering down, watching hockey. And, I guess similar to our boys, they couldn't find them either. Couldn't find themselves in the third period. But that was a game.
That certainly was a game.
And I think it was better showing definitely than it was yesterday for sure. But there's still a lot of questions about this team and just kind of broad strokes, Ian, right off the bat. What did you come away with after this game?
Yeah, I think it definitely was a better game than yesterday. I think that should get said, right? But the reality is that, like, broad strokes, I think goals are going to be hard for this team. Goals were hard for this team last year. They didn't really do anything to change that coming into this year. So goals are going to be hard. And I think when you put yourself in a hole where you need 4 goals to win a game, you're not going to win very many games if you're this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you had said, goals are going to be very difficult to find, and I think it's going to be very top-heavy once again. It was the Hurdle and Timo show last year, and I think we're probably going to see more of the same, especially because of the talent or lack thereof that was brought in this season. A lot of depth pieces, a lot of guys that are good for grinding, but not a lot of goals there. So quickly going into that first period, the Sharks would actually score first on the power play. It comes 14-24 into that first period. Luke Kunin with his first goal of the season. Lindblom and Ferraro with your assists there, and the Sharks go up 1-0. I thought the power play was a bright spot today. I felt that the power play came away with only one goal, but I think that they could have come away with multiple. And I like the entry, and I like kind of the offensive setup where they've got a big body crashing the net, whether that's Kunin or whether that's Lorentz on that second unit. And I think it's making for a little bit more space for guys like LeBanc and Erik Karlsson to kind of work. What are you seeing on the power play, Ian, that you like and maybe is a little bit of a departure from last year?
I've kind of been so on the power play so far. They have like a couple of set plays that they really like to go through that haven't really paid off so far. Like you'll see, like they'll give the puck over to Timo, and Timo immediately looks for Couture, who's been able to kind of sneak into the low point there, the low slot there. And I think it's good, but I think Nashville kind of figured that out, and they weren't able to make that set play this game, although they looked for it a couple times. But they were really quick to, even though like there's obviously some set plays that they have here, I think that they adjusted a little bit better this game. Like Nashville obviously figured out that Couture play, and they kind of adjusted to it. I like the addition of Luke Kunin so far. I know when it was moved, like obviously a rookie that guys were kind of excited about, and John Leonard moved so let Luke Kunin come over. So far I'm not hating the addition of Luke Kunin to this team, and I think that kind of a goal is why you brought him in here. That's the way he's going to score. So
yeah, for sure. And again, another big body and another guy crashing the net, getting some extra space. And I think we'll see some more things. I think we'll see some more things develop. And I think that power play. I think it has the makings of maybe a top 15 power play, especially if they're able to get more guys. And when I say top 15, I mean like maybe 15th or 16th. Having guys that can, get to the net a little bit more, a little bit less afraid of the hard areas, so to speak. But it's all going to really depend upon Kunin and Lawrence getting to those rough areas and willing to keep there night after night after night. And that's going to be, the biggest question mark is going to be the continuing staying power of that power play. And if they're going to continue with the structure that they have now, or if, like last season, they'll kind of revert back to old habits, bad habits, because, it's just not working for them. So we'll see, definitely. But we got a couple super chats in the donation bin. So thank you, 21 Pucks, for the super chat. Waiting for us to pump up Mario Ferraro's tires. I think there'll be a little bit, maybe Mario giveth and Mario taketh away this afternoon, if you're on the West Coast. But yeah, we'll talk about that. And then Puck Mom putting up. Or Hockey Mom, excuse me. Puck Mom is Eric's mom. Hockey Mom's my mom. And she's putting up a super chat donation, so appreciate that. And again, thank you everybody for your continued support. I mean, we've said it numerous times, but we can't do this without you guys, so, and gals, and we really appreciate all of the help. But going into that second period, the pendulum kind of swung a little bit towards the Nashville side. Nino Niederreiter with his second goal of the season. Johansson and Yossi with the assist there, coming in at 4:35 in the second period. This was just a quick bang play. I on this particular goal, I saw Kakinen maybe overcommit a little bit to that right hand post, but of course he's tracking the puck, so you've got to track the puck as it's coming down on that right hand side. He's tracking it, but then at the very last second, Nino Niederreiter's just left out all alone on the left hand side, and they do a cross ice pass. Back of the net it goes.
Yeah. Look, this blue line's atrocious. And this is exhibit A, right? Obviously, it was a good play by Johansson, I thought, to get the puck to the net, and no one picked up Niederreiter. I think Benning tried to pick up Niederreiter, but failed abysmally. And it was a hell of a way for him to sneak in there and put the puck in the net. But this, unfortunately, was a sign of things to come.
Yeah. I mean, completely left open. And again, Kaapo Kakinen is left out to dry. And like I said, he does overcommit to that right side post just a little bit too much for my liking. And maybe he's a little bit back in the crease. But again, Niederreiter is going to score.
Niederreiter shouldn't have that clean of a path to the puck that close to the net. It's all there is to it. Yeah,
they're definitely blown assignment there. Fritz Wilsman? I'm going Fritz Wilmson. Thank you so much for the super chat donation. And love the show and hello from the game. All right.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed your time there. I mean, obviously, score probably wasn't something that was ideal for either game, but I hope that you enjoyed your time. So
and Big Bird pulling up in the chat the starfish. Yes,
we saw a few of those.
We did. Now getting back to the rest of the game, after that goal, it seemed like the Sharks tried to wrestle back the momentum just a little bit, because at 4:45, about 10 seconds later, Logan Couture gets a comeback goal, his first on the season. Lawrence and Ferraro with the assist. Ferraro having a 2-point night tonight with 2 assists, tertiary may they be. But, Logan's goal, just a good quick rush back goal. And it was good to see them kind of fight back and kind of say, hey, you know what, we'll stop the bleeding here. What did you see on that goal, Logan? Ian, what did you see on Logan's goal, Ian?
I mean, just the, yeah, like you said, like bang bang play. It was nice to see the Sharks come back. Look, Logan Couture, I think, is a guy who gets a lot of heat in this fan base, and I don't know if all of it's deserved. I'm sure some of it is, but I don't think all of it's deserved. I think they really need to figure out what this line is going to be, because right now they haven't really found much. Like I think Lorentz had a good game, but is Lorentz the guy you want to be? Like is again, there's a lot of guys playing in miscast roles here. Like if I like Lorentz's game, but um, I don't know, man. Like they need to find Couture some steady line mates to see if we can get some chemistry going. And if hey, look, if Steven Lorentz ends up being that guy, that's fine. But it's problematic.
Uh, Taco Cruiser, thank you for the super chat donation asking, do the NHL Network replay on ESPN Plus?
I don't know.
I don't know that either. I want to say that it does not, because for tonight's broadcast, I actually had to use the NBCSN app, so I was watching via the app. But over on YouTube TV and NHL Network, I think they had it on NHL Network, but they didn't have it on ESPN Plus, because I have ESPN Plus and I was looking for it there. So I don't think so. And again, it kind of interesting that the ESPN Plus broadcast did not pick up the Global Series. Might have been like an exclusive rights thing. But again, it does kind of create a little bit of confusion where you can find your Sharks. So, hopefully they'll get that figured out. And again, I think they were kind of funneling everybody towards NHL Network. But on that Logan Couture goal, it was a quick, quick one-timer from the slot. Very good pass from Lorentz. Mara Ferraro doing a good job bringing up the puck.
Yep.
And again, like you had said, there's going to be some flux on that second line. And is Steven Lorentz really a second line player? I don't know about that.
I think Luke Kunin's probably going to be on that second line once Barabanov's back. But for now, it's just, I don't know. It's rough, right? Because I think the Sharks, again, we've said this many, many times, that the Sharks have 4 top 6 forwards if you're being generous.
Yeah, and again, I think Kevin LeBanc is still not showed me that he's a second line player. I mean, and so you're saddling.
I think he's been okay though. I haven't really had any issues with Kevin LeBanc's game so far.
And not that I have found issue with his game. I just don't know if he is a second line player, because we haven't seen that player in a long time. So
yeah, I mean, that third line too. I mean, there's a lot wrong with this team.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the Predators, I think really their talent started to take over in that latter part of the second period. At 6:29 in the second period, Philip Forsberg with his first goal of the season, Duchesne and Granlund with the assists there. And I mean, this is just a great goal by Philip Forsberg, just doing the whoops, here it is, there it is in the back of the net.
It's again, defense. I also wonder too with how easy the nets were coming off, because I think you'd want to see Kaukkonen get I can't remember if it was left to right or right to left, but you understand what I mean, side to side. I think you wanted to get him moving side to side a little bit cleaner, but because of how, I wonder if he just couldn't push off hard enough because he was worried about pushing the net off. Because I think it was going to get to the point, we didn't really see the net come off a whole lot this game, but after it came off a couple of times a little quizzically this game, I wonder if the refs are enough's enough, guys. We're going to start calling this. So I wonder if, maybe Kaukkonen didn't. And again, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. This is just me wondering out loud, if maybe he didn't get the push off the post to get to the other side as much with as much force as he would have done it, say, in SAP Center.
You're absolutely right. We did see that that goalpost keep coming off, and I was surprised they didn't call any penalties from the first game, because
right. And I think when it came off a little bit easy again in the in the this game, like it didn't seem that like we didn't really see that happen a lot through the rest of the game. So I wonder if the refs are like, okay, guys, we got to call this. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if this is bad ice or whatever. We're gonna start calling this, and magically, no one knocked the net off anymore.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, Ian. And looking over that goal again, just an incredible effort by Philip Forsberg.
Oh yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Forsberg there, but again, like should you have that clear of a path around the puck with around the net with the puck? Like no, probably not.
And I think that even that sequence started. Somebody was saying from a giveaway from Erik Karlsson in the zone, and look, I mean, Erik Karlsson is Erik Karlsson, and he's going to have the the target on his back, so we're going to be micromanaging and micro scrutinizing every move. But he didn't look bad today, right?
I mean, this is a blue line that has Jacob Magna and Matt Benning. And people want us to talk about Erik Karlsson?
Right.
Really? Like you have and to a lesser extent, Radim Šimić, right? And we know what Vlasic is at this point, but obviously Vlasic's not coming out of the lineup. Like you have what, 3 bottom pairing defensemen out of your 6, and some are making the case that maybe Mario Ferraro's not a 3-4, maybe he's a 5-6 too. And you want to talk about Erik Karlsson? Like, I mean, shit. There's bigger problems on this blue line than Erik Karlsson. I know Erik Karlsson's the easy punching bag, but if that's where you want to go with this, like, I mean, you do you, but Jesus Christ, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got Marc-Edouard Vlasic logging in 19 minutes tonight, and yesterday I think it was like 20 minutes, and we know the struggles and the regression that he's had in the last few years, and when you're relying upon a guy that might be past his prime for 20 minutes a night, that's a little scary, right? And I think that again just kind of goes to show you where the confidence lies, and where the confidence is in and around the players on this team, and especially on the back end. I mean, Jacob Magna only put 10 minutes and 30 seconds on the ice tonight. Radim Šimić only played 13:40 tonight. So we're already starting these questions of over-reliance upon a single set or 2 sets of guys, and in this case, Erik Karlsson marks 27-24, and Mario Ferraro logs 25-14. I don't
like, the story is like this is the worst blue line in the NHL.
I would say
that's the story.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably a 28th, 29th ranked defense in my opinion. I think that there might be a couple more that might be a little rougher, but again, you just have to look at 20 minutes a night for Marc-Edouard Vlasic.
Yeah, like this is a bad blue line. And again, I'm not gonna let this show devolve into an Erik Karlsson good, Erik Karlsson bad thing. You want that? Pucknologist is tomorrow. I'm sure they'll have a blast. Right. But like, this is the worst blue line in the league. Erik Karlsson is the only guy on this blue line. That's reality. That's the story.
Yeah, and we're also looking. I'm also looking here. You've got Matt Benning spending 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the power play. I mean, Matt Benning power play. That's
what happens when you don't have like. And that's the thing, right? I think that's the real story here is just like the guys that they've patched holes with. There's a lot of just the same guy, right? Again, like I said, you've got at least 3 bottom pair defensemen, and some of them are playing, big minutes with your best player on the blue line.
I think Lacey points it out. I figured out why Matt Benning got a 4-year contract. It'll give fans someone to hate while the Sharks finish out Vlasic and Šimić's contracts.
Yeah, I look at. Yeah, again, it's a really bad blue line. There's holes in this lineup. Look, obviously when Brent Burns had to go. Like, they had to start somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the lot. This is the bed that Mike Grier has made for this team. Now, what's going to happen going forward? I don't know. It's a really fascinating thing, right? Look, the cap's going to start going up. again, right? So a lot of these guys that he signed, like, it's not going to matter at some point. But right now, this isn't a good team. This is a team that's the big thing here is this is a team that is going to have a hard time manufacturing goals and a harder time
keeping goals
protecting
out.
their goalies. Yeah, exactly. Because I think Reimer was fine yesterday.
I think Kokkonen
played a good game.
And Kokkonen was
good tonight.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the goalies. So, but the goalie can only do so much when your blue line's made of Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, like, if you can't score goals and you have a hard time keeping pucks away from your goaltender, it's not going to be a recipe for success many nights.
Yeah, and we look over at Nino Niederreiter with his third goal, the second goal of the evening, third goal on the season. Tolvanen and McDonough with the assist there, and that basically just sealed the deal. As soon as Nashville got that lead, they weren't going to give it up, and we kind of saw the game devolve into the muck show in that third period because, it was just literally, we've seen it time and time again, that the Predators will lock it down and we'll play this dump and chase and very stagnant type game.
The Predators totally turtled for a good part of that third period, and they have the players to do it.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right, and the structure to do it. And so now this is kind of going to be, I think the book on the Sharks is if you can score early on them and, turtle it up a little bit, you're going to be able to extract some points off of this team.
Yeah.
And again, the Sharks have to show a little bit more fight, I think, and I think we were seeing a little bit more fight back this afternoon. But again, it was still a team that's kind of getting pushed around. They
finished the game better today than they did yesterday. Yesterday, they went down and they packed it in and they said, "Meh, whatever, we're done." Right? And I don't think they did that tonight. Right. Like, again, I don't think like this team's game tonight, I don't think it was for lack of effort. Like, no. I do think like they played from buzzer to buzzer tonight. I do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have the horses. Yeah. And they don't have the margin for error that other teams are going to have.
Right. So we'll go and we'll finish off the stats for this evening's game. The Predators with 18 shots on goal, 49% on the face-off. They are 0 for 3 on the power play. They took 8 minutes worth of penalties, 33 hits, 23 blocks, and 8 giveaways. Over on the Sharks side, doing a great job with the shots on goal, 33 shots on goal, 51% face-off percentage, 1 for 4 on the power play. They took 3 penalties tonight for 6 minutes, 23 hits, 16 blocks, and 9 giveaways. And your goalie for this evening, Kaapo Kokkonen, he had a .833 save percentage on 15 of 18 shots saved. If you look at Lankinen, he had a .939 percentage with 31 shots saved. 31 shots saved on 33 shots fired. So, again, the Sharks getting some good rubber to the net, getting good rubber in that third period, but goes to show you that there's just a lack of talent. And
I think, well, the other thing, too, is, like, obviously, again, we said how Nashville turtled, right? So they got a lot of shots, but a lot of the shots were one and done, far out shots that Lankinen could see most of the way in. Like, I don't think shots and quality shots are two different things, and I don't know how many quality shots the Sharks really had in that third period until things got really scrambly in the last few minutes.
Yeah. And again, I think just not enough there to will in the next goal for the Sharks, unfortunately. So the Sharks drop both games of the Global Series to the Nashville Predators. They will have the next week off, and we'll get back to work on Friday. And Ian, I mean, what are your takeaway from the first two games? I mean, I think my takeaways are continued lack of scoring depth in the, let's say, second, third lines, and a complete lack of defensive depth, past Mario Ferraro and Erik Karlsson. Vlasic, I think, has acquitted himself well, but I still don't want him playing 20 minutes. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Vlasic again is another guy who I think has become an easy punching bag, and for good reason. Again, you want to talk about money being spent on players. You could definitely look at Vlasic's. You can circle Vlasic's contract as well and raise an eyebrow at it. But I don't think he's been like I don't think Vlasic's been he hasn't been dreadful, and maybe that's just because of the surroundings. So I don't know if it's like this blue line is so bad that Vlasic looks good, or is Vlasic actually playing better so far? I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I'm willing to think it could be either or.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think if you're relying upon a player that's where he's at in his career with the amount of time that we've seen so far, this team is not going to look good. I mean, this team,
No.
This team is going to be, I think, will fare worse than what we thought if they're that reliant upon Marc-Edouard Vlasic for that amount of time on the ice. So, again, hopefully we can get Harrington back in.
See, but the Harrington's again. There's another guy. Like I don't think
I take Harrington over Benning though.
But again, two of the same guy. Like trying to play with your top defenseman.
Right. Right. And I mean, I think this goes to show you that, unfortunately, Ryan Merkley just wasn't ready to take a spot, but he kind of needed to be. I mean, there's if you look at the talent on that back end, there's a spot just in the lack of talent for him, for a guy like him to thrive, and him not, making it this season and starting with the Barracuda. That's a little concerning, and I think with where Ryan Merkley's at in his development arc, you'd like for him to start to be champing at the bit for a spot. And
yeah, but Mike Grier, Mike Grier is trying to find this balance between you don't get to come up just because we have a spot, and I understand what Mike Grier is trying to do here, right? But I think when you look at some of these guys that he signed a lot of the same guy. And this is the problem with this blue line, is it's bad because you have bad players on it. You have a bunch of guys that are the same guy trying to fill in the role of players that they can't fill the skates of, right? Again, Brent Burns had to go, but they did nothing to replace Brent Burns. Not even a little bit.
Right.
We just found more Radim Shimiks. Great.
Right.
So, so for a guy like Ryan Merkley, who I think should be on this team. I do believe he should be on this team. Now, maybe he didn't have the camp. Again, I'm not going to tell you what kind of a preseason he has, because the Sharks told me that preseason doesn't matter. I shouldn't care. We're going to show you a game if you're lucky. And if we do show it, then you should feel so damn fortunate that we decided to bless you with the ability to watch a preseason game.
Right.
Right. So I don't know how Ryan Merkley looked in the preseason. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Ryan Merkley had this amazing preseason. He should be on the team. Do I think skill wise he should be on the team? Yes. But I didn't see the preseason. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, because I think I did a lot of this on Twitter as the season approached, and I realized, and someone kind of slapped me out of it, and they're like, hey, but this is the situation, and it's like, you're right. And I'm just, it's easy to come on here and tell you all about feels. Feels are great, but if feels aren't based in reality, then what good are they? And so I can't tell you what kind of camp Ryan Merkley had.
Yeah.
If maybe the Sharks felt that Ryan Merkley wasn't good enough to make the team right now. Okay, I can accept that, because again, I can't dispute it. So I have nothing to do but take their word for it.
Yeah.
But if you look at this blue line and you look at the lack of puck moving defensemen, and you don't think there's a place for Ryan Merkley on this team right now, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no. And again, I mean, would you rather see Matt Benning or Ryan Merkley for 17 minutes? I mean, at this point, you know what the Sharks are with, the lack of depth and the lack of talent, and the fact that there's a lot of money riding on certain players. In the way that you augment that is you have to augment it by lesser value contracts and by guys on their entry level. And, that's what Ryan Merkley is. And again, I'd rather see a Ryan Merkley for 17 minutes than a Matt Benning.
For sure. But again, like Ryan Merkley's got to do the work though. He has got to force his way onto this team because again, you sign a bunch of guys that you think are valuable for whatever reason, Mike Grier did, and you don't sign guys to lose them to waivers. Right? Like we've discussed this before. You don't sign guys to just throw on waivers when the season begins. Like that's just not the way you do business. So like Ryan Merkley has to kick the door down to get on this team.
Yep.
And so he's going to have to be good. Like, when we talked to Nick Nolenberger on Wednesday and, he mentioned like so far from what he's seen of Ryan Merkley is not pouting. He's handling everything in stride, and that's what you want to see. And hopefully, starting tonight, hopefully he gets in the lineup. But if he doesn't, when the regular season opens, Ryan Merkley will absolutely be in the Barracuda lineup. And it's on him now to kick down this door because he has to make himself so undeniable that Mike Grier says, okay, I've got to lose one of these guys to waivers or risk losing one of these guys for waivers.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think, the pathway is clear insofar as there's no talent in front of him, right? There's no talent that is in front of him on the depth chart.
He just can clear waivers. That's the difference between him and Matt Benning and enter guy here, Jacob Magna, another guy, right? That's the difference between Ryan Merkley and those guys. He can clear waivers. He won't be lost if you send him to the AHL. These other guys could. And, I know some people are be like, oh man, no one's going to claim Matt Benning. Guys, look at the number of guys that Mike Grier signed this year, right? Don't ever underestimate an NHL GM's lust for shitty defensemen.
He's not wrong. Quickly coming in from David Quinn, thought tonight was a big improvement on last night, was proud of the guys. It's disappointing because we shot ourselves in the foot. But again, how much of that was, because of lineup decision versus, actually having a brain fart on the ice, right? I mean, you just look at the collection of players that they just put on there. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that Nashville didn't score more.
Yeah, and again, look, I'm probably more heated than I should be right now, but it's like it's game 2. Let's also remember it is game 2. Like there's going to be lots of time for Mike Grier and for David Quinn to make adjustments here. Like he already Quinn already made some adjustments. Now, do I think Noah Gregor's the to blame for a third line that also features Benino and Matt Nieto? Probably not Gregor's fault, but again, like we did see adjustments so far, whereas like Bugner would have just rolled the same lineup again.
Yeah, you're right. And Tony Couture coming in with Mike Grier's biased against smaller players. I don't buy that because again, Mike Grier himself was a kind of a smaller stature player. I mean, he's not a big guy. And you also look at the guys that are playing right now, and you look at Kevin LeBanc, you look at a guy like Oscar Lindblom. I mean, who plays a smaller kind of game. I mean, so I don't think that's necessarily the right perspective to take on that, but there might definitely be a bias towards more veteran players because you look at this lineup and
there's always going to be a bias towards veteran players. There's always going to be a bias before bigger players. I mean, there's a saying that's been said 1,000,000 times and it'll never stop being true. It's up to a big guy to prove that he can't play in the NHL and a small guy to prove that he can.
Yep. And so I guess that kind of leads and dovetails into the next portion of what the people want to kind of talk about in Board-Zanecki. I mean, do you see a potential for them to be on the opening night roster or opening night touching the ice on Friday, or do you see them as still having to continue?
No, I think they're going to both be in. I think they're both going to be in Iowa to start the Barracuda season.
Okay. Yeah, and
again, like, should they be? And again, here's the thing, right? Again, I don't want to tell you based on feels because I didn't see the preseason games, so I don't know how they looked. Now, from everything that you read, it seems like Bordeleau is it seems like people are more confident that Bortolo was going to be on this lineup than Eklund at this point, and that's fine, right? So if Eklund goes down, like that's fine. Is Eklund more talented? Like, does Eklund have more raw talent than some of these guys that they're playing on the NHL roster now? Absolutely. But again, if I don't have, if you're going to send to the Barracuda and let him force his way back up, that's fine. I'm fine with it. Bortolo's a guy that I probably would have slotted in, especially like a guy like Lindblom who has. I thought he would look better tonight, but obviously, like based on his deployment yesterday, like Quinn wasn't really happy with what he was seeing. I just want, again, I would like Couture to have
Stability,
right? Mm-hmm. So I wonder if, the spinorama goal is sick for Eklund for sure. But again, like, so was Gushkin's hat trick, but that doesn't like it's easy to overreact to one game, right? But again, like I have no, if these guys can force their way onto the lineup, then that's great. And if they play on the Barracuda, that's fine too. This team is ass. Yeah. And I understand how people are like, oh man, well at least, if Bortolo and Eklund were on the team, like they'd be a little more fun to watch, right? Like they might be a little more fun to watch. And sure, I can agree with that. I think if there was parts of this game today, this afternoon, where I'm like, if I'm watching this because again, I'm in the Eastern time zone. If I'm watching this at 11:30 at night, like, I might need to like set an alarm to make sure I wake up for the show. So yeah, it would be, it would be exciting to have them on the team and doing their thing. I think, so I'm kind of surprised that Bortolo hasn't been given a look because again, I think Bortolo's a guy I think you could put with like a guy like Logan Couture and you could, you might see something there. But if they go to the Barracuda, man, well, guess what? I'm covering the Barracuda. Yay me.
Yeah, Hot Wheel coming in, wasting a year of boards, ELC last year just to keep him in the AHL seemed like a total waste.
Yeah, but again, different, like, and I agree with that point, and I'm glad he brought that point up. But at the same, like, it does suck, right? But if Bortolo plays in the AHL this year, guess what? His next contract isn't going to be anything significant. So that burnt year is not going to mean much.
Yeah. And again, I think giving him a good, a good continuity in the season and understanding, what it's going to be like to turn pro and stuff, I think is valuable. And I don't see last year as a burnt year.
It seems like weird asset management, but again, Mike Grier didn't do that.
Right.
So that's the other thing, right? And last year, like, the Sharks were missing so many bodies that they just needed anyone who could
hold a stick,
hold a stick to basically be on either the Sharks or the Barracuda. So I understood, it made those last few games a lot more bearable.
Yes,
so I think from that perspective, like, yeah, is it weird asset management? For sure it is. But I think there's a lot worse things on this team you should lose sleep over than the burnt year for Bortolo.
Well, you hear it here first, folks. You got other things to worry about besides the asset management of the Sharks. Well, Ian, all right, taking a quick look at what we've got coming up next week. We've got the Blackhawks and Carolina. Carolina is going to be the opening game. You're going to have Burnsie back at the tank. You're going to have that whole hullabaloo. I mean, we'll probably see a standing ovation. We'll definitely see the video of what Brent Burns has done. But
man, look at, like, Brent Burns, like, was a fan favorite for a reason, right? And like, I never wanted Brent Burns to go because he was a bad player. Like, I don't think he's the player that he was before. Age does that to everyone. Like, and that being said, like, I still think Brent Burns is still a hell of a player. I didn't think the Sharks would be better without Brent Burns. It's just you had to start somewhere, and that was probably the most movable asset you had to start. Now, do I agree with how Mike Grier then turned around and used that cap space? No. But, that was where they had to start. So I don't see why, like, Brent Burns should get a positive reception from the SAP Center. I mean, he, again, fan favorite guy, and he was fan favorite for a reason.
Yeah, and Burnsie, I think will probably be emotional, and it'll probably be something that will take him a period or two to kind of get acclimated again. But you know, I think the Sharks, they're an organization that does well by its former players, right? So I don't think we'll see anything different in the presentation.
No. He's gonna get the whole kit and caboodle, and he deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess for on the ice, shifting more towards the ice, Ian, I mean, what does this team kind of have to do to continue to progress forward? I mean, we saw some good habits being formed today and yesterday. But again, I mean, this team still looks like not a cohesive attack, lines 1 through 4, and not really good defensive positioning, defensive sets 1 through 3.
I think
is it more polish and more kind of like mini camp in this next week, or?
I think so. I think here's the other thing too, right? Like, and here's the thing that we do have to keep in mind as we're just tearing everything down. It's a new coach. Yeah. It's a new system. Like Rome's not built in a day. Like, I'm not saying that 20 games in, they're going to be a significantly better team because Quinn's system is going to be, oh my God, the greatest thing to hit, the ice ever in San Jose. But it's going to take some time for all of that to kind of flesh out and kind of see what we have. Like, it's hard to, like, again, it's game 2. It's an 82 game season. There's still a lot we haven't seen yet. I think there has to be time for systems to kind of be better put in place and, better adjusted to by the players. And I think eventually look at David Quinn so far, again, made a couple of switches around in the lineup tonight. Hopefully that continues. Hopefully he's not afraid to tinker around until he finds something that works. Is what works for him is what works for him going to lead this team to being a playoff team? I don't think so, but I just think there's a lot left in this book. We're on chapter 1.
For sure. And with that being said, I think we are going to start to wrap this up. In case you missed it or you want to check us out again, catch us across all the social media websites, that being the YouTube replay. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, the SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Audacity, and always available at tealtownusa.com. Smash those likes, subscribe, and hit the little bell notification for any notifications on when we go live. But as you already know, we go live after every Sharks game. Ian, it was a pleasure, and just want to give you final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Final thoughts. One, obviously, look at. I know I kind of made a comment in probably not the best way. Pucknologist is tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific. You should definitely tune in and watch. I like to give AJ a hard time. Again, the Erik Karlsson discourse annoys me. So I probably took a shot that I shouldn't have taken there. Watch Pucknologist. It's going to be a good show. You can also check out, the Barracuda, they are going to be playing a preseason game in about an hour and 20 minutes. If you want any more information about the Barracuda going into the season, me and Kevin sat down with Nick Nolenberger. You should definitely go and check that out. Also on our channel. Other than that, though, man, like I said, there's the early results aren't good, but there's a lot of hockey left in the season, as good or bad as that may be. I appreciate all you guys tuning in and everything, and so we will see you next time.
and yeah, we'll be going through like we have in previous seasons. This is of course season number 9, and we will be going after every single show, so keep an eye out for us. Keep an eye out for the Pucknologists on Sunday, and check out those awesome interviews that we've got up. Ian doing a smash up job with Nick Nolenberger and really getting a good idea of what the prospect scene is looking like for the Sharks.
This Barracuda team is going to be a lot of fun. Like if the Sharks are making your heart sad, like again, it's your money, but like the home and away package for the AHL team, if you're not local and can't go, isn't that pricey in my opinion. I know the AHL quality of streams isn't that great, but like I think this team's going to be a lot of fun. I think you, as a hockey fan, especially as a Sharks fan, I think you'll do yourself a disservice if you ignore the AHL product this year.
For sure. We got a new arena and gotta check out and support the baby Sharkies. That's for sure.
I mean, if you can get to Texas Arena, you should do that too. But if you're like me and that's not an option, the AHL package for if you just go the home and away for the Barracuda, it's a good deal.
Yeah,
check it out
for sure. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, like I had said before. And you can catch me across all the social media platforms using my first name, that's ERIK, last name LANDI. Come check me out. And again, check out Pucknologists on Sunday evening. For all of us here at Teal Town, USA, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you after the next game.